All
So
right,
hi,
good.
welcome. My name's Jonathan Makela. I'm a faculty member in electrical and computer engineering. I've been here at the University of Illinois in the Grainger College of Engineering since 2004 on faculty. I'm also the associate dean for undergraduate programs in the college, and I'm here today with Shawn Adderly. Shawn and I go way back. We actually met, I think, in 2007.
Yeah.
2008, somewhere in that winter time when we took a international programs and engineering trip to Hong Kong and Taiwan, along with Professor Goddard.
Actually,
Uh,
we met before that. We actually met in the spring of 2007.
we
So you
did.
actually came to an ECE 110 course as one of the professors that were presenting their research topics because we wanted to basically provide students like an overview, right? Like here are some areas that you might want to consider for concentration. And I actually showed up at your office at 5 o'clock at CSL, and I said, "Oh, I listened to you talking at the CC 110 thing, and I'm really interested in like working on some stuff in the summer with you." And you, at the time, there was some funding from the College of Engineering, particularly towards minority students, and that's actually when I met you. So I met you in the I guess it was the spring of 2007, and then I stayed through most of that summer.
Okay,
Yeah.
that timeline got mixed up in
and
my
then and then
head.
and then I still met you and knew you, and then yeah, we did the IPENG trip. So it's
Yeah,
been a long time actually. It's hard to
it
believe.
has been. So, but and we'll talk a little bit more about your experience at Illinois, of course. But you graduated in 2011, and you've had quite a variety of experiences in the time since. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what your current position is and what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a principal engineer and chief of staff to the vice president of electric operations. And so I primarily work on thinking through the strategic initiatives for our organization. And it happens to encompass pretty much all of PG&E's distribution and transmission infrastructure projects. So we're embarking on a long-term strategy to rebuild the grid and rethink the grid as we face, climate change and capacity constraints, and then also bringing on battery storage and other technologies like electric vehicle charging infrastructure. So I spent a lot of time thinking about that and how to allocate things and figure out what's really like the best use of the ratepayers' dollars to match it with infrastructure projects, and then also hopefully meet our clean energy goals.
Wow, that's great. And so that seems to me like it's not just a purely technical position, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm a bit of an anomaly. Generally, you don't hold a principal engineering title and also become a chief of staff. It's either one or the other. But I have a bit of experience in being a people person and also being fairly good on my feet and talking in front of crowds and getting to know people. And I think that other dimension really works out well for me because I'm a bit of both worlds, and I'm able to assess things technically, but then I'm also able to go talk to people in the field, go talk to other people in the office, go talk to external stakeholders. And so I found that at the time I thought it would be sort of a disadvantage for an engineer to have such a, I guess, articulate nature, because you think of engineers as being really narrow and focused on one thing. But then as you realize, as you want to go higher up in your career, you have to obtain like these other skills that aren't just purely technical. I mean, I think those are the technical skills are the foundation, but they aren't the end of the story. So
Certainly. And actually, and if you think back to your time at Illinois, I obviously you took the step to come and talk with me in my office, which is a step that not all first year students would take. But I do remember that had you also sought out other opportunities while you were on campus here that were not strictly in the college,
oh
right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think for me, when I came to Illinois, I chose it because that it had such a large options for liberal arts education, and so I was able to take a number of classes. I got a minor in history. I also got the opportunity to write for the Daily Illini and meet with a lot of other people on campus that I wouldn't have run across, and it gave me a different perspective on how I could build, my brand not only technically but also from a professional perspective. That was something that I didn't expect, actually, right?
Yeah.
And I think the great thing is that I met a lot of people that were not in engineering as well, that gave me different perspectives. So I have a lot of friends that I still, am really close with, that are from accounting or history or design, all outside of like my core areas. And so that, and I've had a number of other things that I've done on campus that helped me really get a little bit more well-rounded.
No, that's great. So, and when you were on campus, and how did you balance a lot of those different demands, right? I obviously the degree program you were in electrical engineering was demanding, but then I can imagine also, being involved with the daily Illini and having those sort of deadlines as well. So, did you find that to be challenging, or what sort of ways were you able to balance that life?
Yeah, I think it had come down to really like making sure that I chose my schedule carefully from a class perspective. I'm not much of a morning person, so like I avoided some of the morning courses as much as I could. But then I would block out time, a couple hours, to really do other things like go to the gym or go work on articles or meet with other members of the Daily Line staff or people that I were interviewing. And so I had to learn to really use my time effectively, but also that helped me later on in life, manage better when you have all these other different demands on you.
Okay. That's great. So when you think about your time at Illinois, and what are some of those memories that really stick out in your mind?
Yeah, I mean there's so many. So that's a tough question. But I think the biggest memory was coming to campus. I grew up in Miami, Florida, which is a fairly diverse place, but I came to the middle of the cornfield in Urbana-Champaign, and I found that it was even more diverse, I think, in terms of just people from different backgrounds, Asia, India, Asia is south part of India, but anyway, so India, China, Taiwan, South Korea, and I had not interacted with a lot of people from Asia, and I interacted with a lot of Illinois, and in addition to that, just like seeing the different backgrounds people came from. So some people were really high on the social economic, spectrum. Others were below that, and just seeing that everyone was able to come and we were all getting the same education, and we were in the same classroom together. I think that was pretty remarkable moment for me in the first week of being a student at Illinois. And I think also the other thing that was just cool was just the size of. I stood and looked at the Grainger Library, and I looked at the campus, and I said, "Wow, this could be like its whole own, university, right?" In some cases. And then I turned around, and I'm like, "Whoa, wow! There's a whole other side of the school that's behind me, that's 2 or 3 times larger." And so I just was in awe of the size of the school and just the things that were running through my head about what I could do for the next couple of years there. And I mean, I would say another memorable experience was when I was inside of the fabrication facility, which is what was in the basement of the old Everett lab that I think has now been renovated for the School of Biomedical Engineering.
Right.
But I was in there. I was in, a white fab gown suit, and it was just interesting to me that like we were in there, and it was we were able to touch so many different things and get this hands-on experience, which I think not many other places have that type of capability. And that really helped me out later in my career because I was not awed when I first saw my first fab. When I went into the semiconductor industry, I was able to really understand a lot of the basic process steps, and
Mhm.
that really helped me. So I think that was a pretty cool experience, and just the spark when you realize that your device actually worked. I mean, as nerdy as that sounds, it was really exciting.
Yeah, no, that hands-on experience, and as you know, I've taught a lot of the sort of the sensors courses and our senior design course in ECE, and being able to watch our students actually getting that experience working with real semiconductors. And now in the new ECE building, it's the Nano Lab, which is on display in the first floor, so everyone really sees all the students in the bunny suits working working into, throughout the day and into the night, and it's really fantastic. But it's that ability to actually get your hands dirty with, state of the art equipment and lots of different sensors and test equipment and the like. I think really is something that, at least is for me as a faculty member, is gratifying to see our students be able to gain that sort of experience. So
Yeah, definitely.
you pointed out the different types of diversity that our student body and our campus encompasses. And I think that's becoming increasingly important today, that students and people in general understand different perspectives, right? And for engineering, especially engineering design, I think that's critical, because one of the things we need to realize and teach and ingrain is that we're actually designing products for people to use, right? And if you're only coming from a single perspective, a product you design may not be usable by large segments of the population. So in your career to this date, have you run into experiences where that ability to sort of step back and look at things from different perspectives has paid off?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as I've worked on clean energy, and particularly on the electric vehicle side, I've thought about, there's sort of a disparity between clean energy access for folks of higher economic means versus lower economic means. So it was really important to me that when we looked at our strategy for rolling out electric vehicle infrastructure across the service territory, that a good percentage of that infrastructure would also be in disadvantaged communities. And I think like that's a perspective that I gained by just having those types of discussions with different people on campus and throughout my life, where you have to consider the impacts of the engineering work that you're doing. And it also carries over, I think, into hiring. So I think looking at Illinois and seeing how many diverse backgrounds that people have has made me realize that that's actually really important for a corporation or any company that you work in, that you actually have a workforce that has a lot of different opinions from a lot of different backgrounds, because that really helps you think through issues that you're going to come across. And no matter whether you work in semiconductors or energy or another field, you're going to come across these issues where you want to figure out how to think through the impacts on society.
Mm-hmm. Now, you were also, we also did a little bit of research together. Um, did
Yep.
you find that undergraduate research experience to complement what you learned in the classroom, or what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I, sought it out because I felt that I wanted to try to apply some of the things that I was learning and sort of broaden my expertise in one specific area. So I think that really helped me, and it also introduced me to the fact that your science is one thing, that you need to be right technically sound there, but then also you have to have pretty good writing skills. You have to be able to present at conferences. So I got to go to a conference when I was working for you, and also I presented at a couple, I think, undergraduate symposiums with posters, and so getting that experience was really helpful, and it also helped me become a better programmer. And I actually still write a couple papers on different topics, and so it really helped me become more in tune with what the expectations are in terms of communicating the work that you're doing to others. So that was really helpful.
Cool. So these days, other than the work that you're doing at PG&E, what do you do to keep yourself busy or
Wow.
entertained?
I mean, in terms of hobbies,
Yeah.
well, I like biking, so I bought a road bike. It's a carbon fiber bike, and it's really light, and it handles well. So I like biking along the bay, where I live in Berkeley. Out overseeing San Francisco, so I do that. I really enjoy volunteering. So something that I did when I was on campus was I volunteered at a food pantry that was right near Green Street, and I do that as well in the East Bay. So I find that as a good activity to give back to folks, and keeps me occupied. Really into reading and just learning about different things in the political energy sphere. So that's another, I would say, almost borderline hobby slash, infatuation with
Maybe
work.
obsession.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, those are the core things that I do, and I really enjoy traveling as well. So any given year, I tend to go traveling, and whether it be for work or for personal with my family or friends, and generally my Illinois friends, we travel like once a year and we go do something. So I think it's great that I have friends from Illinois that live on all parts, in all parts of the country and in several countries. So I don't have to go too far to find a classmate or someone that I'm connected with.
Now, had you traveled a lot before? I think you had before you went on that international program. So I remember some of the students we took on that trip. It was their first time. I think there was even one student who was the first time on a plane.
Yeah.
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 But
And yeah. So for me, I mean, I think it was great because I got to, you know, pursue like an interest and also like gain something from an academic perspective out of it. But it also, I didn't live somewhere for an extended period of time, so I've always traveled a lot of places. And in the summer of 2010, I actually got to go to Italy as part of one of the IPENG programs. So engineering programs. What does IPENG stand for again?
international programs in engineering.
There we go. And I got to go to Italy for a couple months, so that was cool because up to that point I had only really visited a country for a couple weeks at a time, and so to stay there over a long period of time and study at the University of Pisa with an Illinois faculty member, which was Jim Stubbins, like that was a really cool experience. And like you said, for some of my classmates who grew up in a small town in Illinois or another part of the country, it was really illuminating, I think, for all of us.
It's great. Yeah, I think those different types of opportunities that students can take advantage of while they're studying here is fantastic. So you do make it back to campus every now and then, right? So why do you continue that connection, and why do you come back, and what do you do when you do come back?
Yeah, I like the Illinois campus and I like the people there. And so, there's always that phrase that people make a place, and there are a lot of people there that have made an impact on my life and have helped me be successful on a professional side, but also have looked out for me personally. And so, I like visiting with faculty members, grad students that I've known that are still, around and finishing up their PhDs or even doing a postdoc. And so, and other reasons I've visited have been for talking about corporate partnerships and things like that too. So that's been, some of the primary reasons I've visited. And I find that coming back, it always gives me ideas to think about. So I came back to campus a couple of times, and I actually talked through switching from a semiconductor career to a career in energy with one of the faculty members, Pete Sauer. And so that's an example of where, like, I've had those conversations over the phone, but when I'm in the state of Illinois, it's nice to come down and chat and sort of go back to some of the feelings that I had when I was a student.
One of the reasons why we're trying to have why we're having these conversations is to to talk to prospective students. And so if you could give a current high schooler in the state of Illinois or across the country or around the world some advice as they're thinking about their next steps towards a college career, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, certainly if you're coming from high school into college, there's so many considerations to take into account. But I mean, particularly if you're going to study engineering, I mean, I think it's pretty well established that Illinois is a good place to study engineering, and so are a lot of places that are in that list. But I think the difference is, is it somewhere that you can say that you're going to have a lifelong connection to staff, faculty, friends, and just the place that you've been to, and are you going to get excited about the college that you attended? So I would say that's something to really consider and weigh, in addition to just rankings and other external factors that you may have to take into account. But so I would say that would be like in terms of choosing a college that's or university, that would be a big factor. But then I think the other thing too is to think about, what are some of the other skills and experiences that you want to have. So if you're coming to somewhere like Illinois, and as I've talked with you and others, if you want to have that experience of being able to study abroad and travel and meet people from different backgrounds, and then also have which what I would say a balanced experience of being able to, have a great engineering school, but also experience other programs and departments, and get to go to sporting events or other things that are happening on campus. Like I can't think of any other location than Champaign Urbana that better fits that.
Awesome. Well, Shawn, it's been awesome to hear from you and to connect with you again. It's been a year or two since we've been able to talk face to face.
Yep.
But I look forward to seeing you back on campus in the future and catching up again.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully, once we're out of COVID-19, we'll have a lot of alumni coming back to visit campus.
That's right. All right. Thank you.